Releases in focus. First half of 2026. It's been since the end of 2023 since I put one of the releases in focus up as a video, and I'll attempt to restart doing that with this one. However, they are always posted to my blog on my homepage. Fiction titles. Intensity Lee, Crater 239. The Intensity Lee series was first concepted to serve as the fictional companion to a cyberpunk space western DTR TTRPG. Whether or not that game will ever be finished is unknown. It's been in some stage of development since 2014, and I can't know until I'm closer on it than I am now. However, I wanted to do the short story series regardless, just to work with a different genre than post-apocalyptic, and finally started that at the end of 2025. The original version of Crater 239 was wrote in the early 1990s, handwritten on notebook paper, and is but one of several SF stories I wrote in my early teens. I simply turned the main character of that story into Intensity Lee. The OG character was like 80% intensity anyway. Rewrote the 30-plus-year-old story, rewrote it again to get it closer to my current style, and then edited as normal. As such, the pacing and vibe of it are somewhat different than any of my newer stuff, except for the second Intensity Lee story. I'm also doing something different with this series. These stories are being written as a serial novel that has no official ending. So whether I do 5 of them or 500 of them, they will form one long story a chapter at a time. Intensity Lee, Science Station 12. The second Intensity Lee short story was created the same way as the first, by rewriting a 30-plus-year-old draft. I'd wrote 2 different stories with the OG character that became Intensity Lee, and the character didn't even appear in any of my dozens of unfinished stories. As such, this second Intensity Lee story is the only other one that was created like the first from a decades-old draft. Even though some other concepts and parts of old stories will end up being used, Science Station 12 will most likely be the last one used to this extent, since it's well picked through at this point. 2 Vampires and a Government Agency, File 1. This is a print-only collection of the first 3 parts of the 2VGA series. It is the only print edition of any sort that my short story Spirit Night appears in. Plague, 20th Anniversary Remake. This final edition of Plague combines the original book and both follow-up short stories into a single novel. The original story was nearly completely rewrote to make it third-person POV to accomplish this. All 3 original titles, as they appeared in Plague, Moss and John, are still available in the Disturbance Timeline fiction collection. Game titles. Disturbance Timeline RPG, Merlin, Magic, and Mayhem, before and after 536. Since DTR wasn't exactly planned out and just unfolded, there was some stuff not thought about in the main rulebook. This first module covers that stuff. Very specifically, it covers the lead up to the catastrophe and its immediate after effects up to the point that the PCs come into the picture 2 years in. This book also includes many spells and items that weren't put in the main rulebook to keep certain numbers balanced and such. Disturbance Timeline RPG 2nd Edition, Mad Mansion. The second DTR2E module is an adventure module for 4 to 6 PCs of level 4 to 6 that introduces the party to the Mad Dr. Fu and his creations. This was originally designed along with Vicksburg region and requires it to play, but was turned into a standalone title during development. The characters and plot actually came from a post-apocalyptic escapades test deck, and there was going to be a version of it in both DTR 2E and PAE. However, this was scrapped as I didn't want to work on so many projects with the same plot, and the DTR 2E version was kept since the art was already done. Disturbance Timeline RPG 2nd Edition, Death Derby. The third DTR2E module is an adventure or campaign module or just equipment module, depending on how the GM uses it. This module takes some concepts from my card game Death Derby and moves them back to the TTRPG, such as having a far larger map then circle tracks in front of spectators, and more types of vehicle upgrades. Disturbance Timeline RPG, 2nd Edition, Herbal Lore, and Scavenge Tables. The 4th DTR2E module is a free download on DriveThruRPG and contains expanded herbal lore and scavenge tables for those found in the DTR2E core rulebook. There's also a couple new recipes to fill it out some. Post-apocalyptic escapades, Slim Edition and Expansion Pack. The PAE Slim Edition includes all poker-sized cards, cutting the map cards down in size. The scale is the same, but parts of the maps were cut off in processing. This edition does not contain everything the full game available through TGC does, but does include some bonuses like a cheat sheet, certain rolls, and stat tally cards. The Slim Edition expansion pack includes all 3 expansions to the main game.